Hey everybody, Brett Mix here, Macho Wrestling 101. Hit like and subscribe if you like my videos. I do the history of wrestling daily and I stay up to date with current events. Today we got another SummerSlam review. It's SummerSlam 2005 on Sunday night, the August 21st, 2005 from Washington D.C., the nation's capital. And we got this one going right away with Orlando Jordan and Chris Benoit. And when I say right away, it probably takes less time to finish the match than it takes me to describe what happened. So let's get right to the end. Orlando Jordan was the U.S. champion heel. Benoit was the challenging face. After his world title year run, Benoit was really over as a face. So he excelled in the mid card, obviously, because they had already seen him in the main event. Benoit hit a German suplex and a crossface pretty much for the victory at 25 seconds, less than it took me to explain it, and less than it takes to make a cup of coffee. Just ask him; he'll tell you. Well, he would have told you. I don't think you can ask him anymore. Um, and yeah, that's it. The new U.S. champion, Chris Benoit. He's now residing from Atlanta, Georgia. Back then, and I don't know where he resides now. And he's the U.S. champion. So that did it for Orlando's reign. I give the match a star just for its comedy and just for the fact Benoit put prestige on the U.S. title for prestige. Backstage, Eddie and Vicky argue about Dominic and Ray. The whole storyline, it's all funnier knowing what Eddie said to Ray or said to Dominic during the match. But he said, "Come on, SA." He just called little Dominic SA. I thought that was funny. But that happens during the ladder match. This was just a backstage segment. There's a lot of backstage segments in the night. I'm not going to go through all of them, including the Divas doing this car wash and McMahon trying to be president. So we'll skip those. Next up, we had Edge versus Matt Hardy. Lita was in Edge's corner in every which way. Uh, Literally, Lita left her boyfriend, the love of her life, and she risked her career by getting with Edge, and Edge did the same. And then they both figured they actually benefited them both. Edge gets pushed to the moon and becomes world champion, and Lita is significant again, and in the highest rated segment on Raw in like the 5 or 6 year span or whatever that was. That's probably still the highest rated segment for the next 15 years after that. I think it was like a 4.4 or a 4.5, so that would be the highest rated segment, other than the Trump GM one was about a 4.4, I think, as well, and that was in 2009. Anyways, Edge wins a quick match at 450. They rehired Ray or they rehired Matt Hardy because they had to do it. Matt Hardy was the sympathetic face who got cheated on and fired, and then he gets blown away here. This was a squash. I only rated it a star because most people were expecting a head-to-head tilt here with Matt Hardy getting some offense in, but it just didn't turn out to be. Edge just dominated the match, so Edge goes over. And I give it a star. Next up, we got the ladder match between Eddie and Ray with the Dominic's custody papers in a briefcase up there. That's what it's for. That's what's hanging in the air. Eddie does magnificent heel work in 2005, especially during this run, during this angle. The angle was pretty crazy. They had lawyers come in and all sorts of shit. And yeah, all sorts of shit happened. And Ray and Eddie, they could still put on a classic even if it's a ladder match, especially if it's a ladder match. Uh, they didn't drop the ball here. It was a good one. Eddie Guerrero was gonna climb the ladder, and then he fought Dominic in the ring, and then he went over to him and yelled at him into the corner. And he called him SA. He said, "What are you doing, SA Vato?" uh Anyways, Ray ended up Vicky, there was a run in. Vicky told Eddie to stop. Vicky shoved the ladder and Eddie was knocked down and went crashing into the ropes. The crowd cheered that spot. Mysterio climbed the ladder. Guerrero got up and Vicky pulled Eddie away. Mysterio grabbed the briefcase when Vicky held down Guerrero at 2019. So Ray gets custody of his son. Vicky puts Eddie in her place, and a lot of crazy bumps going before that. So I give it 4 stars. A lot of crazy bumps before that. That's for sure. Next up, we have Chris. No, no, not Chris. It was just backstage segment of Chris Jericho, but now we got Eugene versus Kurt Angle. Christy Hemi's in Eugene's corner because they didn't know what to do with Eugene and they didn't know what to do with Christy Hemi. Why not put them together? Because that makes sense, right? Anyway, Eugene, the fans were a little bit tired of this by this point. Even last year, the year before, when Triple H faced Eugene, the fans were just tired of him by that point. So at this point, they just kind of wanted something else. And they heavily cheered Angle, just like they heavily cheered for Triple H the year before. Angle hit an Angle slam and then an ankle lock to give Eugene the loss at 4:31. Just squash for Angle for the reasons I just aforementioned. Now up is Randy Orton versus The Undertaker. These two guys have been feuding for months, including having a WrestleMania match where Taker went over. This is Randy Orton's time now as he gets to even the odds. Taker rolled through a crossbody block and then hit a choke slam. A fan from by ringside, security went to go get the fan. I don't know if it was a plan or not, but Taker shoved the guy down. The fan left with security. Taker picked up Randy Orton and led it to Orton hitting the RKO as Orton covered Taker at 17-17. I give this match 3 stars. It was pretty good. It wasn't as good as their WrestleMania match. It wasn't on the same level, and it was just a little bit slow at parts. But it was a big win for Orton. The WWE titles on the line between Cena and Jericho. This was for the first time John Cena as a face starting to get booed. He was just. I remember in the build up, he called Jericho "Y too cheap." Why too cheap? And like he kept repeating that, and I remember him being really childish with some of his promos. And yeah, this was a time where he released that "Bad Man" music video. So there was a lot of cheese, there was a lot of cringe, but still, Jericho's a popular heel, right? So whenever Jericho's the heel, he's going to get some cheers no matter what. But a lot of "Let's go Jericho" chants. I rate this match 3.5 stars. I thought it was good. I thought it was just a rematch of what they did with Christian in the middle at Vengeance. Uh, Cena got the win at 14:49 with the FU, which is now the Attitude Adjustment. Yeah, I give it 3.5 stars. It was a great match. These two knew how to work together. That's for sure. Good chemistry. Jericho would leave later, not too long after this, and then he would be gone for 2 years. Next up, Batista and JBL for the World Heavyweight title in a no holds barred match, and it was no holds barred. Batista powerbombed JBL on the steel steps to win at 9:05. Really good brawl here, 2 stars and 3/4. So I guess not a really good brawl, but a good brawl for them. Batista and JBL are both not exactly Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, so their power abilities sort of meshed well, but at the same time they didn't put on a classic. It had to be a brawl for it to be good, and it was, And next up, we have Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels didn't want Hulk Hogan to just come in, take his paycheck, and leave, and not and but it turned out to be that way because Hogan didn't want to do the 3 matches they had planned. Hogan just wanted to get out and get his payday. That's how it seemed anyway, and that's how why Michaels sold the way he did. Hogan wins at 21-24 with the leg drop of doom. I give the match 3 stars because of how Michaels oversold. You can't not talk about this event or this match and not talk about Shawn Michaels overselling for Hulk Hogan. It was one of the funniest things that you'll see. And I think it's funnier than the Larry King segment, even though that's funny too. I just think the whole match was funny as hell. So that does it for SummerSlam 2005. It was a pretty stacked event. Every single match was important, somewhat. Not really Kurt Angle and Eugene. But most matches were important. I give the event a solid 7 out of 10. I think the ladder match was good. I thought I thought they kept things to the point with Batista and JBL. They didn't want to rush them. Cena Jericho was a good match, and then of course we had the main event, which was a spectacle because of Michaels. So that's SummerSlam 2005. I'll see you here again for SummerSlam 2006. The first SummerSlam review with this microphone, so I hope it's working out. I hope everybody can turn up their volume. If it's not loud enough, I hope they can turn up their volume. And it's if it's not loud enough and you turned up your volume and it's still not loud enough, please let me know in the comment section below. And be sure to hit like and subscribe. All right, I'm Brett Mix, and I'm out. See you on the next one, guys.